part, I just want to finish anything that is under this Annotate tab. So this text, and it's very easy. So you are placing text. There's nothing that you need me to show you. It's just, if you wanted to place text, go here and do it. But the one after it is tags. So this is one of the maybe a bit more interesting and a bit more smart things that you can do in Revit. Usually in the architectural drawings, construction drawings, we tag everything in a plan. So you need to have a tag for your doors, for your windows, for your wall types, and you need to address them. So somebody can come in and say, hey, wall or door number 3 or 8.2 or whatever has this issue, or should be this size, or should be this type. You can call it out by a numbering system. So that's why you need to tag stuff. So if you need to tag something, you would click on tag by category, or just and then you would go in and you would tag them. There's a number defined for them. For the doors, as you can see, I can place it anywhere I want. So let's say this door, I want to tag it. It's tagged that as door 5. I will be able to move it around and break the line if I need or whatever. But there's a tag place for this door that I'm placing it. I could also tag all using this, and it will be more automatic. I have less control over it. I can edit it afterwards, but it will do everything at once. So here I can say I want all the door tags, and I want all the window tags. So just show them for me, and then it will just boom, do all the door tags and the window tags. I could also do wall tags. Anything needs to be tagged. I think Matt and Branko are not asking for tags, I'm not sure, but it's common in the architectural construction drawings to show them. So it's always good to have a precedent of what a good drawing is, like the ones Branko was showing today, or you can find, I believe he showed chain drawings last time, or something else off the internet. Or for the detailing, you can think about and imagine them, or you can also Google them and find them and draw them. So always have a good precedence to look into, to understand, okay, and maybe having this kind of dimensioning and this kind of tagging is useful. The next thing that I'm interested in recently, because I'm using it almost every day, is the room tags. So you can tag or define all the areas in your drawing and give them a name, give them a color, get information out of them, get the areas, and then they're smart. As soon as you move the wall or something, they will change and be updated based on that. You can do them through here, but in order to have a room tag, you need to have a room defined first. So let's go define some rooms. Have we shown them? Have you shown you guys these before? No rooms. Okay. So under architecture, there's an area called room and area. So there you can define your rooms. It's very easy. You click on the room, and then you would go in. It will read the walls, and it will define where the room is. So that's one room. Go under here, you can see there's another room, and then here there is a third room. When I go back, you won't see the rooms anymore, but you see the tags placed. And when you click on them, you see the boundary showing up in red. It's a little bit tricky because, let's say I move the tag over here, and then this guy's center point is over there. Now I come in, I cannot really find where my cross was for the room, so I can't click on the room. And if I go here, I say, well, okay, there's the room, I can now select it. It may not make a lot of sense now, but in the future when you have rooms that are lost, it will be useful to know. So a trick to find the rooms easier is because you can always see the room tag. If you are moving the room tag or selecting the room tag, there is a green line going to the center of the room, and that's where the X exists. So then you can select your room using that X. From the feedback I get from you, it's not making a lot of sense, but in the future you will appreciate knowing this. So anyways, you have the rooms and the tags defined, and then you can, similar to anything else in Revit, when you have a room tag selected, you can go in and change the type. I just want the room tag, I want the room tag and area, I want the room tag and volume, whatever you want to do. You can always go in and change the types and the families and everything, so that's up to you how to define them. So now I have a proper room in the place, I have a proper room tag for it, and let's say this is a big space, and let's say it's a house, for example. I've got a living room and a dining room and a kitchen area that does not have a wall separating them. but I need to define two type of rooms. What I do is to go and use this room separator tool. Basically what it does is that it draws an invisible line that is dividing the room. So I will just go in, select on that, and draw a line, let's say from here going to there. Now this is a room and that is not a room. So it's reading that line as a room separator, and then I can place another room over here, and then I can change the type to whatever I want. I can go in and change the name of the rooms by clicking on it and calling it space 1. I can give it a room number, so this is 1, and then it will give me the area of that thing, and then I can click on the next one and change that, and all that kind of thing you can edit. One more thing that is important to know in the rooms is that when you're drawing a wall or you're selecting a wall, there is an option under properties called room bounding. So if your wall is room bounding, as this one is, when you place the room, it will read it as a perimeter of the room. If it's not, it will go through it. So if I uncheck this, now there is some issues with my rooms, and the reason is it's not actually reading that as the room, and the room would extend past that wall. As you can see, this wall is not cutting my room space. So it's going all the way through this to wherever it will be stopped, like that. So in order to define a space, you need to have your walls being room bounding. And if you want to have maybe a room defining all of these space and nothing interior, you can select all the interior walls, turn off the room bounding, then you will get one room for the whole space. Maybe you'll need it for some reason. Okay, after this, you can define some color schemes for these rooms that you have defined. So under room again, under architecture and room and area, you can click on this arrow and go to color schemes. There you can define what kind of scheme you want to use. If you open this, you can select your rooms and then say, okay, rooms, I want to do it by names or by department or whatever you would define. You can change your component from here. If it's based on area, based on room name, based on room number, you will define it over here. And then it will give it some color definition, and you will say, okay. Surprisingly enough, it's not showing up. It's only defined for you in that view. Then when you are under this view, you would go under color scheme here, click on this, and then say, okay, you remember under room, I had the room name thing, I want it to show up. And now the room colors are showing up. Some of the rooms disappeared for some reason, but if I add in the rooms for these guys, it is showing up. And that's driven by the room name. So the room, whatever is called room is green, whatever is called space 1 is a different kind of bluish green. So if I change this to whatever, the third room, and this one is maybe the 6RY room, and then these are different colors that will show up. So if you want a color-coded drawing for some reason, this is the way to do it. So again, going back to the annotate, under tags, you can have your room tags. If you don't have a room tag here, or you want to have an additional one or something, that's where to add them. Okay. All right. The other thing that you can see here under the annotate are the legends. So color field legend is actually referring to my color-coded plan. So the room legend, it's reading it off of the color scheme that's defined for the view over here, and it's calling me, okay, yellow is 6RY, this green is room, that is space, that is third, whatever. So it's showing you that legend over here. So that's the tagging and the color field legend under rooms. And then the last thing under annotate is the symbols. So a lot of times you need to show a symbol that is basically, again, another line drawing. It's not a model, it's just something you place in. And that would be probably a north arrow or an arrow on a stair, a line that shows something specifically happening in somewhere in your project that's not modeled, and then you can do it under this symbol window or menu. When I click on the symbol, it will let me select from what is already loaded in the project. I could also go in and load new stuff, but there's a north arrow defined by default. I can just place it somewhere however I want, or I can go in and load in or download other North arrows and save the file somewhere, load them in, and place that in the drawing. So that's about the rest of the annotation.